It's time for the Everyman, where real man talk.
Let's go. Time to grind, get inside your mind. Yeah, we working overtime. That's the only way to climb. We gon' make it in our prime. Signing on the dotted line, cashing checks left and right. That's the way I'm living life.
And welcome to the Everyman podcast. Today we have two very special guests. We have Gary and Ray joining us on the podcast to talk all things men's health and prostate cancer. How are you both doing tonight, gents?
Yeah, I'm all right. It seems that it's a funny person to talk to me about men's health, really, when I've got a large vodka and Fanta orange in my hand. But there you go.
Yeah.
All good,
Gary,
Martin.
you all right?
Yeah, no, listen, great, all good. Well pleased to be on here talking about all the prostate cancer stuff. So, yeah, no, great.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to trying to get a few myths dispelled out there and everything tonight, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely love it. I think, firstly, before we start, I obviously have to say, I think it's incredibly brave and we're really grateful for you both coming on. Given, obviously, what's happened last season when we beat you 5-1 at your place, I didn't expect you to come on a podcast full of Geordies, but it is very brave of you boys, and we respect it a lot.
Good job you're 2,000 miles away, I've got to say that.
Yeah. No, he's right. I'll tell you what, they're a good side, Newcastle, but I'm sure throughout tonight we'll get the upper hand, me and Ray, with the hammer stuff. So I'm not worried.
Well, we won a cup.
That's exactly.
That is
you know,
true. You did win the 10 Cup, so it's really
We'll give you the
did
5
really well.
That's all right, we'll help you out. But we went and won a cup, so that's all that matters, really.
No, that's very true. It's very true. So tonight we're going to talk, obviously, around men's health, prostate cancer. They're the two big topics that we're going to cover. But before we get into that sort of conversation, something I'd be really keen to understand is, how did you guys meet? How are you friends? What's that story?
Ray, you want to go?
Well, we actually met at West Ham at the ground. I knew Gary's sister, Karen.
Yeah.
She used to look after us when we used to go to West Ham, and she introduced me. She said, "Come and meet my brother." I said, "Listen, Karen, I'm here with all my mates. I don't need another mate. You know, I've got mates. Thank you very much." And I walked in, and he was introduced to Gary, and he was with all these bods out the city, and they're all Jack the Lad, all loud and everything and all that. I thought I can do without this geezer and his pals. But as the weeks went on and as we got together, we kind of realised we had a lot in common, and we had a lot of the same thoughts about football, about the youth in football, and it's very weird. I've got mates since I was a kid. I've grown up with all my mates since I was 8 years of age, and to have a new mate that comes along and fits like a glove, it's very unusual actually. So yeah, we met at Upton Park, the old Upton Park, the bowling ground, and it's been a love affair ever since, hasn't it, Gal?
Yeah, we've had some.
He buys me flowers on Father's Day and things like that. It's lovely.
Yeah, that's it. We've had some great fun since. And he's right. He's bang on. We met at West Ham, but yeah, and we had some funny turnouts there. That's for sure. And that's before I got into business with him. So we must have done something right to get involved in there. But no, he's right. He's absolutely spot on. We're pretty similar in a lot of the ways we do it, and that's why I think things have worked well, setting the agency up and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely come on to your business and the work that you do, because I know we've spoke about it briefly, Gary, and it looks amazing, the kind of work you're doing. Before we really get into a conversation, what we tend to do every single week, I think I know Ray's answer to this. Yeah, I'm great. I've had a few drinks. So we'll get to that. But generally what we do, we start each conversation just generally seeing how we are, how has our week been, just with the idea of it being a sort of a men's health, to make sure that we're having sort of that regular sort of check-in time. Reese, I will start with you, mate. How are you doing? How's your week been?
Yeah, good. Still settling in my new job, but yeah, it's been really good. Been doing a lot of exercises, normal. In the sea. Saturday I did the Chopwell Woods 5K, and then yesterday I done the aqua can I say it? Aquathlon, which is it was a 200-meter swim in the sea at Sunderland, and then followed by a 2K run, which I won, which I was buzzing about.
Yeah.
Well done,
Thanks for that,
son.
mate.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah, good effort. Dean, how are you getting on?
I know, Bull. Not bad, mate. I've just been for a run there. That's why I got on a bit late. I ran too far away and then realised that I had to get back. So I was like having to sprint back. So apologies about that. But good week. Feeling really good. Nothing to report really. Otherwise, what about yourself, Lewis?
Yeah, no, I'm really good. I think it's been a crazy busy week. I think we had a good weekend on Saturday morning. Us, Dean and Rico, we ended up going in the sea up in the North Sea, which is a mad thing to do when it was absolutely pissing it down and it was windy and wet and horrible. And it was one of those things that you agree to early part of the week. Like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. We'll go in the sea. And it got there at 5:30 in the morning. And Ethan went as well, actually. We got there at 5:30 in the morning and it was pissing down with rain. And I was like, I really don't want to go in the sea. But the sea was actually warmer than outside. So that was all right. It was a bit of a win. Joby, what about you?
Well, do you know what? It's been a strange week for me because obviously, as a lot of people in here know, I've recently had a baby boy. Well, I say recently, he's about a year old now. But
he's 12, Joe.
I was going to say, he was born 15 years ago. But how it, boys? How it? Allow it. How it? All jokes aside, this is my first time actually being without him because him and my partner, as well as her mum, have actually went on holiday for a full week without us, and I've just been absolutely missing the socks off both of them. So it's been a bit of a strange one for me. Been licking the wounds, been feeling a bit sorry for myself. What about you, Ethan?
Yeah, so as Luke politely pointed out, it's a case of going in the sea with Lewis and Dean. It's stupid o'clock in the morning, so not big and not clever for anyone fancying it, to be fair. I've also been told my mic sounds like a robot, so this is not good. So I'll have to quickly change over at some point. Can we just go back to Ray telling me I look like Pochettino? That's like my version. In the free lobby.
Well, Dean actually looks like Gerard Bowen.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he does. Yeah, we've got all kinds of lookalikes tonight.
I don't want to dare ask what Lewis looks like.
Humpty Dumpty.
Stephen
Cheers,
Island.
lads. Cheers, lads.
But no,
Pep. He's Pep. He's Pep.
Oh, Ray, I always knew I liked you. Like,
but this is this episode's close to my heart. I mean, I mentioned it before. I'm going to change my mic in a second as well. But this episode's close to my heart because my grandfather passed away of prostate cancer last September. So, and it's something I've not really processed either. So it's a bit of something I'm not really over or even addressed yet. So I'm really chuffed that I get to speak to you guys, Gary. I know you've been through it. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm going to go change your mic now. But I just wanted to say, Ray, I'm a massive fan of your charity work, and Gary, I'm a massive fan of your movies. So thank you for that.
God bless your dad. His movies. I love it. God bless you.
I get this mic sorted now.
I love it.
yeah, class. Gary, Ray, how are you two? How's your week's been?
Yeah, good, mate. I mean, I've done none of the above, right? All that, I've done absolutely none of it, right? So, no, I've been plenty busy enough in work, and when I see my boy he plays for Maidenhead in the National League. He's up at Gateshead next Saturday. I won't be making the journey up there.
Ah, that would have been good.
Yeah,
could have met you.
Yeah, no, I'll give that one a miss. I've been to most of the games, but yeah, he was on the bench at the weekend, no minutes, so that was a wasted journey. But other than that, no, pretty uneventful, if I'm honest, Ray.
Yeah, well, mine's quite a long story in a way. I mean, my week's been quite uninteresting. I get up in the morning and I dive in a pool, ice cold pool, to liven myself up, and it's. It's just I'm lucky enough to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm away out here doing some restoration work on a property. But I was just thinking about listening to you boys talk there in all seriousness, and knowing Gary and what we've been like through our younger years of abusing ourselves in a way. we've done everything you ain't supposed to do in life if you want to stay healthy. And you get to a certain stage in your life, and it's usually about being married, and then not so much being married, but having children, that you want to see those children grow up. You want to be a part of their life. And then having grandchildren, which I'm lucky enough to have, it just changes the whole ball game. And for me, meeting Gary when I did, and then watching him go through what he was going through, not just Gary, but a couple of other friends of mine as well, that we get to a certain stage in our life. Well, I'm 66 years of age, but this can happen earlier. It happens to people in their 30s. But prostate cancer is a thing that we don't really, at my age, at 30, I never thought about prostate cancer, never even knew about it. I watched my mum die of cancer at the age she was 52 years of age. So I've been touched by it in a certain way. So once you have children, once you have grandchildren, you want to take care of yourself. You want to go and have them checks. And that the reason I went and had those checks is basically because through Gary and talking to him about it and seeing what he was going through. But also I wanted to see my kids become adults and go on with their life and do what they were going to do. So I've been for the last, I guess, 6, 7, 8 years, even during COVID, it slowed down a bit, but I haven't checked. You know, I was actually very disappointed when they never put the rubber glove on. You know, for me, that's why I was going. Why am I paying the money? I'm not getting the rubber glove. What's that all about? Gal, did you get the rubber glove?
No, I got the lot. Don't worry about that.
You got the rubber glove. That's why you went back on the Monday, isn't it?
The full service. The full service.
I had to get the full service. Yeah, I had the rubber glove. I had the lot. I had the machines turning you upside down.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
But in all seriousness, Gal, it's nothing, is it? I mean, it's a blood test. I went and I had a blood test, and sometimes it's not as easy as I make it sound. Sometimes there is a waiting list, which is wrong, totally fucking wrong. And it really annoys me because we put this message out about sending people to have this. Please go and have a check. It's nothing. It's a blood test. You get your results within a week. But then people have to wait. There's no why. Why do people have to wait? And I think that's the next step what we've really got to go on about, Gal. Actually.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that.
You know, you can't tell people to go and have a test and then they can't have a test. You know, it can't work that way.
No, I mean, listen, just following on to that, look, and I'm sure we'll come to it. You know what happened to me, and I mean, listen, if there was ever a case of lucky, that's where I'm at, right? Because how I found it, and I'm happy to share that with you when you want. But Ray makes a really good point because look, it's overtaken breast cancer as the biggest killer, right? Which is a massive thing, and breast cancer is a national screening program, right? With prostate cancer, there ain't none. So. Interestingly, when I got diagnosed at 42, they said we don't usually test men under 50. Well, it's nonsense, absolute nonsense. I mean, I do a lot with the charity now. I speak to a lot of people that have been diagnosed with it and all that. And I mean, I've spoken to people as young as 22 who have had it. So it's. I mean, it's no good, as I say. But I think that's one of the most prevalent points here. You can't just go and get a test. You've got to go and ask. And in times gone by, they've said, "Well, no, you're not old enough, so let's not have the PSA test." And you listen. We laugh about the finger up the arse, the rubber glove, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is that comes after, right? I mean, you have
the reality is it's something for the weekend, isn't it?
It is something.
That's it. I didn't know we talk about those things Monday to Friday.
Yeah, you're paying every price for it.
Yeah. Do you know what? In our last 2 episodes, we've talked about jizzing in a room.
Oh, nice.
People low sperm count getting tested if you can have kids, and then fingers up the arse, and in your case, full rubber fist up the arse. So
I'll tell you.
Whoa! We didn't say fist. Hold on a minute.
Wishful thinking.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story, right? Because again, as I've said to you before, right, this is all about getting it out there and doing all the things, right? So So actually, when I after I get diagnosed with prostate cancer, right, clearly once you've had the operation, you then can't make anyone pregnant thereafter, right? So I have the option. He says to me before I have it done, do you want to have a store up, right? So I said, go on in. Yeah, go on in. He said, right, well, go to this place here. And he said, you give them a sample, they'll freeze it. You know, you can come back to it and all that. So I said, oh, okay, lovely. So off I trot down there the following day. Now, bearing in mind, I'm going to have the operation by the end of the week, right? So I've got to get in there, do the numbers, and away I go. So I'm in there. I go in there and I say to the woman, yeah, what do you want to say? What do you want to say? She said, I'm here to give a sample. She goes, sorry, I can't hear you. Can you speak up a little bit? Right? So I said, I'm here to give a sample. Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Okay. So anyway, so the woman says, she says, yeah, take this. And now, bearing in mind, it's a nice little one in Harley Street up in London, right? So she said, go and see June downstairs. Go and see her. So I thought, okay, like this. So I've crept out the way, and everyone's looking. Yeah, he's going to just have one in a minute, right? So he's going to go and have a what's name. So anyway, so I go down the stairs. There's another waiting room downstairs, and it's absolutely wall to wall. You cannot move in there. Something. Yeah. So I go down the stairs, and the lovely lady June. You Gary? Yeah, I'm Gary. Yeah. She says, here's your material in front of everyone. In a bag, right? And I'm just going, oh, fuck me, this is all you need, right? I mean, everyone's like, oh, yeah, I know, yeah, he's going to go. People with their wrist hurting or their, you know, they've got headache. They know I'm banging them out. It's a nonsense.
To be fair, right? Dean, tell your story. You've got the same one, haven't you?
Well, mine's pretty much the same, except like it didn't take me very long at all. So I was just standing there waiting a couple of minutes longer before I could push the button to say it was ready because I was a bit embarrassed.
Was it 3 pumps and a squirt?
Oh, yeah. I already had the material all sourced in the morning about what I was going to use.
I'm choosing
Playboy's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Gary, tell them the story about, you know, you was worried about if nothing works after and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
tell them about you talked to the surgeon about the bike, the pump and all that. The button. Press the button.
So I mean, clearly. So what happens to you after you've had it right? You've got to try and get the feeling back. So if you imagine when they do the operation, right? If it's a radical prostatectomy, they take all your prostate out, right? So think of it like, you know, at the fairs and all that, where you've got that electric wire that goes around. If you touch a wire like that and it goes on, same thing happens down there. So if you touch anything, your antenna never work again, right? So they've got to be double careful as they're going. And so, I mean, it's a nonsense, really. But you've got to go back and you've got to say, right, is it working? You know, can I get it working? How quickly? You know, you're supposed to do the pelvic floor exercises. You're supposed to do this, that, and the other, right? And remember the indignity of the whole lot, right? You piss yourself, you do all of them sort of things, right? But then you've got to try and really get an hard on, right? So that's when once you're back in the game. So you go back and you talk to the geezer, and the fella that done me was brilliant. He looks like Morrissey, right? He looks like Morrissey out of Smiths. Yeah. Great guy though, absolutely. I mean, he saved my life, right? So you know, I'd always thank him for that. But it's a classic because you go and ask him, right? Look, it ain't working really. I mean, is there anything you can do? So then you've got various things what you can do, right? And this will lead on to another one, and I have to laugh about it because this is always so. It gives you the options. Do you want the Viagras? You know, do you want injections, right? And all this sort of stuff, right? And then failing all of them, we can insert a button. Right, and so of course I've made the mistake telling Ray that's an option, and all he wants to do is take the piss out of me, press the button. I didn't have the button, by the way.
But they tell them where they put the button in your thigh.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So they put so if you have this,
Yeah.
and you can't get hard on. This is a guaranteed, right? So then you put it fits in right under where your balls are, right? But the problem is, he says you can't ride a bike because every time you ride a bike,
you get
Listen, I want one anyway.
Yeah. That's great.
I ain't had prostate, thank God, but I'll have one of them anyway.
Listen, and on that subject, right? And I'll say it because it is funny, but it weren't funny at the time. So I go down there, and he says, "Look, you know what? Why don't you try out one of the injections, right?" I said, "You sure?" I said, "I'm not brilliant with needles," and you can imagine, going in there, that's even worse, right? So anyway, he says, "Well, go in there, and the nurse will show you what to do and all that sort of game, right?" So in I go, bang, injection. Sure enough, what?
Good night, nurse. Yeah.
So he goes, "Oh, look, lovely." He says, "All right, you can go now." I said, "I can't fucking go anywhere." Anyway, so the next thing I know, half hour later, 45 minutes later, hour later, nothing's changed. Right? So now I'm going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Right? Anyway, I've had to get a taxi home from the place. I can't go back to work. Get a taxi home. 3 hours later, I've still got it. I'm ringing up the old run a bath and putting frozen peas in there. Right? Honestly, I would never have that again. It was 3 hours, and I'm like that. I've got headache and all that. I bet the taxi driver was shitting himself. Well, he said, "No, I'm walking like that," and then he's like, "He's doubled over."
The crouching.
I can't show anything. But yeah, I've had some funny times. Put it that way.
See, I don't think I'd have that issue myself because they wouldn't be able to see it, so we just wouldn't even notice it was there. Wouldn't even notice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Gary, you did touch upon there that you had a story on how you discovered it.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be really interesting for, like, this podcast has to cover some of the serious stuff. That's the whole point we're doing it, right? So to understand how you discovered it, and then potentially on the back of that, what can and what should men be doing if they're slightly concerned about it?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, listen, it's real by fluke that I got it. And I'll say to this day, really and truthfully, I shouldn't be here, because what happened was I was moving from one job to another, and the CEO of the place that I was going to said, "Look, you know what? I mean, it was quite a big deal that I was going to do," and they said, "Look, you need a like a medical." And I said, "Yeah, no, I'm all right. I don't. No. We'd rather you have a medical and all that sort of stuff." So I'd literally been there 2 days, and they went and did a medical. And the chap rang me up in the afternoon, and I'll never forget it. He said, "Listen," he said, "I found a few adverse findings," and I was a little bit, well, that's strange. Well, what's that? I mean, thinking, right, you're going to say you're overweight, you're drinking too much, you're doing all sorts of things you shouldn't do. But then he said, "Look, your PSA level's very high, too high, in fact. So you need to go and get another check." And I said, "All right, yeah." I said, "Look, tell you what, I'll do that. I'll do that a couple of weeks' time, because I'm busy. I'm out there. He said, "No. You need to come in and do it straight away." Right. So I went in and had it done, and sure enough, I mean, they called me the following morning, and I will never forget this. They called me up and just said, "Listen, you've got prostate cancer," and I couldn't believe it. I went, "Right, okay, where's that then?" I mean, I didn't even know where it was, right? So we sat and spoke a little bit, and then you got to sort of digest the news, right? I'm 42. I think I'm bulletproof. You know, I think I'm an hot shot. You know, I'm nothing can touch me and all that. Next thing you know, you stopped in your tracks. You got prostate cancer, right? So I went to see the surgeon, and really you got three choices, right? You either you have active surveillance, right, at the time, and we're talking about at the time, because I think a few things have changed since then. But you have active surveillance, you have the radical prostatectomy, which is take the whole lot out, or they do radiation, radiotherapy, all that sort of stuff. They were at the time, they were the three options that I had. Well, number one was never an option for me. I was never going to have active surveillance. Strictly, I know I got cancer. I've got to get it out.
Yeah.
The radiation, they said, listen, look, we'll put pellets in you, and hopefully that kills it. But you can't cuddle any young children. I thought, well, fuck that. I don't want that either. But the prostatectomy where they cut it all out is was the one. It was the only one that made sense for me at the time. Like I say, there's different various forms of treatment now, and slightly shorter times, because when I had the operation, it was like just short of 8 hours. You can do it in 2 and a bit now, right? So
yeah.
So it was for me. Directly, I found out, it wasn't something I wanted to play about with, and I think within about a week or so of being diagnosed, I was in the Marsden, the proper cancer hospital in Fulham in London, and having the operation. And listen, it was interesting, right? Because some of the samples that were taken when they did the sort of biopsy, by the time I got in to have the cancer operations out, the fella's telling me, you know what, you're lucky here because this is aggressive. So, and of course the biggest thing for me is if it spreads outside the prostate and it starts running around your body. I've been around multiple people, Ray says about his mother, and I've got a litany of cancer in my family. My dad died of it. My uncle died of it, and my mum's mum and dad died of it when she was 6 months apart of cancer. So, it's not going to take a rocket science to find out that you've got it. But for me, it was, you hear the word and you've just got to act on it, right? And again, really and truthfully, had I known at the time, to get any form of cancer is not good, but to get prostate cancer is probably the better one that you're going to get, because it's in a region that you can take out, and and it's if you get it in time, So for me, I was very, very lucky, because if I don't move companies, I definitely don't have the medical, and then by the time because, to be clear, I had no symptoms whatsoever. A lot of the symptoms are men getting up in the middle of the night. They're dying for a piss and they can't have a piss and all that sort of stuff, yeah. Right? There's all kinds of things. I had none of them, absolutely none of them. So of course it sort of stopped me quite harsh in my tracks, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think that's really scary when you think there's no symptoms, or when you say there's no symptoms, because that's one of those things where you think, well, if I've got cancer, especially where you're saying obviously it was really aggressive, like any of us could be sat here. Obviously, I did a video the other day, and 1 in 8 of us are going to get it in our lifetime. Yeah. And that's at current rates.
1 in 4 if you're black. 1 in 4 if you're black. 1 in 8 white men. 1 in 4 black men.
Bloody hell.
Well, that's why it's important. That's why it's important. Whether you think you got symptoms or not, is just go and have a check once a year.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's really not. It's a blood test. That's all it is. And it gives you a chance. It gives you a chance.
Yeah, and the interesting part for me, right, and the reason I come on things like this and Ray follows me in is because of that very thing. It's so simple. Now, I go and talk at a lot of places, and I'm an ambassador for prostate cancer, because all I want to do is pass on my experience. Look, we can sit here and have a laugh about the injections and other bits and bobs and all that.
Sure.
But the reality of the whole thing is getting the message out there. And do you know what? I probably talk to 1 or 2 people a week who just ring me out the blue. Gal, my mate's just been diagnosed. My mate's dad's been diagnosed with this, or I've just been diagnosed. Or
Gary, how many people do I ask you to talk to?
You do.
I know, friends I know. And I'll say, listen, talk to my pal, because he knows about it. He knows the way about it.
That's right. And I love it. I honestly, and I'll always have time for people. And certainly boys like yourself, because you're all younger. You're all at a susceptible age, and but the audience, I'm sure, for this, whether they're old, young or not, it's just a simple message. It's such a simple message to go and get checked,
Yeah, mate, I can definitely agree with that. As soon as we had a conversation, you were like, yeah, Lou, I want to come on. We'll talk about it, share the love. So, again, I know I made a slight joke earlier about West Ham and Newcastle and how brave it is to talk about it, but it is. And the fact that you're talking about it means that someone might do something about it. And I think that's what we're here as a group of men, is whether it's it's something that you're not sure about or whatever, there's always someone who will listen, and there's always someone who probably knows something that can give you the advice or
that's
whatever
exactly
to help you get through it.
You know, and sorry, I cut across it. And do you know what?
Right,
Right? The people at the charity are blinded, right? They you know, the nurses there, they filled hundreds and hundreds of calls from people not knowing. You know, I've sat in there, I've listened to them. You know, I'm very close to the people at the charity. I love helping them because I know it makes a difference. You know, and again, you know, these nurses, they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. I mean, and as I say, if people are listening and they've got any worries and all that, you just pick up the phone. You've got the number on the website there. Myself and Ray and Peter Varner used to be the CEO of Charlton. We had a little get-together, and I think they called it the sit-down, and it was like an hour-long ramble of shit. But the funny part, I mean, Peter's had the operation. I've had the operation. Ray luckily hasn't. But again, I think that they said that was the biggest hits they've had on their website. But people viewing, and that's why it's great, you know. And hopefully things like this, people can, you know, look.
I think what it done, Gal. I think what it done that conversation was it made the conversation look like guys talking about it.
Yeah.
Where guys don't talk about it, anything to do with your bollocks, people, you know, men are very kind of standoffish. It's getting better. And I think conversations like that, conversations like this, and what you guys are doing, makes it better. It opens it up for guys. It's all right to talk about it. You have to have a laugh about it. Because if you don't have a laugh about it, it becomes too serious and it's a little bit standoffish. Yeah. You know, it's the guys in a pub having a chat. And that's what it should become. Yeah. That's what it should become and be, you know. It's saving your life.
Yeah, it is. And I tell you, and it's interesting. I go back to what I said, you know, obviously Ray's a busy boy and all that, but you know, when we talk about men's health and all that, and look, we do joke, and there's a reason we joke, and there is a reason we joke, because you know it's still such a taboo. It's still such a taboo subject. You know, men don't want to, you know, should I get checked? You know, or what is it like? Is it you know, his finger up the arse? Is it this? Is it that? And all that sort of stuff. So for me, you know, anything that we do like this is just gold. It really is.
And all power to you, chaps.
Yeah, what you do. Really do. That's right. That's exactly right. And you know why I said yes, I'll come on, because for every reason, you know.
Yeah. No, I think that's really true. I suppose, Gary, you mentioned that you had no symptoms, but are there symptoms?
Yeah. There are symptoms. I mean, the main one really is if you're dying to have a wee and you can't, right? And whether that be in the middle of the night, during the day, and all that, you know, I mean, that is the major, really, in my opinion, that's the major symptom of it, you know, and there's not too many other symptoms around. That is right, because the prostate becomes enlarged and it presses against the bladder, right? But then it can't get through. So that's really the sort of major symptom of it, right? So but I never had. I didn't have that. I didn't have it at all.
Yeah.
I suppose that's probably one of the scariest bits, though, like Lou said, isn't it? Like you said, it's not like ageist or anything like that. I know you were saying earlier, Gary, that like they say, oh, you're not supposed to have tests before 50 and stuff, but what is that helping for the younger generation, the people who are getting it at younger ages and stuff?
No, I mean, like I said to you, you know, I sat with a boy of 22. 22. Wow.
That's
22.
mad.
And the kid had it, and he had the operation. And lucky enough, it was his boss actually that contacted me and said, "Look, would you talk to so and so because and I went, "What, 22? Well, wow, yeah, of course." I went and sat with him for a couple of hours, and of course, I mean, it was a painful conversation early doors, but you know, because you know it's a tough thing to say when you've got it. But he was throwing ideas about what he does. Should he have active surveillance? Should he do this? Should he do that? I said, "Fuck that, get it out." Just you know, you've just got to, in my opinion, act. So. Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's not ageist, it's not any of it. It can happen.
You know, Gary, it's almost like, you know, there's not an age on it. But you know, when you're 22, You're never going to die. You're going to live forever.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
100%.
we don't think of going to the hospital. We don't think of going to the doctors, get the flu. You just don't do them things, But, now with work, it's changed. When you're going to work, if you're lucky enough to have a job today and you go to work, then you have a medical. And part of that medical should be, doesn't matter whether you're 18, 22, 55, is to look at the prostate.
Yeah.
That should be part of the medical.
Yeah, but funny enough, Ray, ain't. That's the problem, right?
No, that's my point.
Yeah,
that's my point. That is something now that should be looked at. Because all it is, you know what it is. You will have a blood test. They will test you for drugs.
Mm-hmm.
See if you're on cocaine or anything like that, or a marijuana when they employ you for a job. In the same test, they can take that blood and test you for prostate as well.
Yeah,
but they don't do it. They don't do it. It's not another blood test. It's the same fucking blood test.
Yeah, that's it. But you have to specifically ask for it, and that's the.
Well, no, it should be part of it. What I'm saying is, it should be part of that.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Ray. I don't know if my mic's any better, or am I still?
It is.
Yeah, no,
am I still Mr. Roboto, or no? I'm okay.
You sound lovely.
Okay, you were there. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Ray. Just in the sense of, footballers, we're all die-hard football fans here, and the fact is that they do medicals if they're going from one club to the other. Why? Because they're an asset. They're an asset and they're an investment. And the fact that it's not done more regularly, maybe, if you're moving to a job, if you're getting a job, even young kids coming out of college or school, going into work, even if they're young, like you say, when you're 22, when you're 18, it's you versus the world. I think it's important to get the ball rolling, even if it's just to stand a test and get into habits. A lot of people say build habits and they'll last a lifetime. There's that old saying of feed a man a fish and he'll eat. Maybe teach a man to fish and he'll eat for the rest of his life. It's all about setting habits.
But it seems to be more important to test someone to see if they're on cocaine or marijuana than what it is to see if they've got prostate cancer.
Yeah, correct.
Ridiculous.
Crazy.
Man.
Why not do the lot?
Yeah.
Exactly. When I was looking and doing my research, like I say, it's a tough subject for me, and I've pulled the wool over the eyes, myself and my granda and things like that. And my uncle's got it as well at the moment. He's fighting the battle.
Right.
But when I was looking at the website today, having you guys on, it provoked a conversation in my own head, and looking at prostate cancer UK, the website. I seen you do something called Prostate FC, which is something you're involved in, which is obviously football related, us boys. The big thing for me noticing on that, which is even more of a scary fact, is one man dies every 45 minutes.
Wow.
So
Wow, really?
Yeah. So from prostate cancer. So like in a 90-minute match, which we've all played football, at one stage or another.
2 people done.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And it's
Fuck
just
me.
harrowing.
Really?
Yeah, harrowing.
Wow.
Honestly.
I listen, and I think, and again, when you break it down into them stats, right? You break it down, and again, we come back to what I said earlier, and Ray said it. You think you're invincible, right? You think it ain't going to be you. Well, it is going to be you. It's going to be one of you somewhere. It's something. All right, there's 7 of us on there, but if we had an 8th, one of us are going to get it, right? And that's the reality.
Well, I did. You.
I did, yeah. So I'm the odd man out.
So we're all right then.
Everyone's all right. You can't knock yourself out. But no, it is when you.
I know what you're saying, Gal. I know.
Yeah, but when you look at it, and that's why, again, I come back to it. That's why I don't mind doing what I do, and trying to tell them and lighten up the conversation, because you're all young lads. Me and him are old bastards. But we can still converse on the same thing in the same language. Simple.
Yeah, you see, we're not expert. I'm not an expert, Cal.
No.
I've learned everything I've learned about it really from you, watching you, what you went through, and that. Yeah. You're an expert on it. Yeah. And that's that's where we learn, but we have an opinion. Yeah. And so what I learned from you was to go and have a test at least once a year.
Yeah. That's right.
And if everyone else did that and was in a position to do that, if they were allowed to do that, then it would bring the numbers down. I mean, it'd be incredible, you know.
Yeah, they're trying to. I think the goal of prostate cancer now. I mean, they've just done if you saw yesterday in the news, Jeff Stelling did a march from Wembley to Wickham, you know, and raised £250,000 or something like that. I mean, Jeff's brilliant, but you know what their aim is and what their goal is to get a national screening program in place. Like breast cancer, so anyone can have a screen. Anyone, not just the the few and what have you. So, but again, you know, and I say it again. I mean, this is not a disease to be messed around with. You know, I mean, this is a case in point. The chap that went into hospital the same day as me, this guy was going to do 2 operations in the same day, right? Me in the morning, this fella in the afternoon. The fella in the afternoon had put it off for 3 months, right? Because he couldn't deal with it in his head. Well, I've got to go and do this. By the time he went in and had it, they opened him up and put him back together again and said, there's nothing more we can do with you. Wow. That's the reality. And that's the reality.
I'll tell you the other reality, Gary. I do mine. It cost me 120 quid. I do it private, okay? Private. 120 quid to go and have it done, okay? On the National Health, it's a lot more difficult, I think. Let's be honest about it, because all I've seen is on the telly and reports that people, you know, when we see the prostate cancer thing and we read what they say, is people are having to wait to have this test. That ain't good enough. You know, I'm a lucky boy. I go to work and I get paid and I can afford to go and pay 20 quid to have my blood test. There's a lot of people out there who can't. You know?
But equally, I think
make the excuses, I'm taking the weight off the National Health Service by going and paying. That's bollocks. You know it is, right? Yeah. I'm looking after myself. All right?
Yeah.
But it should be for everyone.
Yeah, agree.
I think that's a really good point.
It's don't protect what it is, you know. It's say what it is.
Yeah, but £120, yeah, it's an amount of money, but it's £10 a month. If you make that something in your life, which every year I go.
I agree with that, but you know, there's some people who just can't afford that.
Of course,
and if the National Health Service, for whatever reasons, I'm not blaming the nurses or the doctors and all that. I'm blaming governments, if you like, but it should be there. It should be done. You know, this saves lives.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, to be honest,
2 in every 90 minutes, someone dies of prostate cancer. Fuck me, that's an epidemic.
Yeah.
Needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
yeah, straight away after this conversation, it's made me think I just need to go and get checked for the sake of it.
Right, get the gloves. Get the gloves on, right? Lewis wants to check up.
I've got me British vintage boxing top on tonight. I'm going to have a little.
Are you gloved up, are you, Ray? You gloved up?
Oh dear,
To be
yeah, go on, Joe.
I was going to say, to be fair, I know you were saying, Ray, that you're not an expert or anything, but I think in a way, with you speaking to Gary, with him being your friend and stuff, stuff like this that you do and Gary does and everything is probably a lot more than our government do at the moment in terms of like awareness out there. So I know none of us are experts. Obviously, Gary's an expert, but none of us here are an expert. But just having the conversation about it is probably a lot more of an impact to the world than what our government are doing currently. So it just goes to show how easy it could be for a little bit more investment to go into it.
And that's
sure.
Thing, right?
But that's across the board in this. You know, listen, anything that's a vocation, whether it's the fire service, the police service, or National Health Service, is not looked after. It's not funded. Anything to do that's any good for us as human beings in this country is not actually funded. There's fire stations closing down, there's hospitals closing down, police stations closing down. They're all going off to Australia and America, the nurses, to work because they got looked after properly. You know, that is what's happening in our country. You know, and people like me have to go and have it done privately. You know, I'm lucky I can do that.
Yeah. No, I agree. Same.
What about the rest of the country?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting on my high horse here, but it really fucks me off.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, get the Chinese whiskey out. We'll be beheading.
No, if I was on the whiskey, boys, I'd be through the window now.
Yeah. To be fair, if I didn't have work in the morning, I'd be on the whiskies. Like,
No,
this is a good
the
one.
shooter would be out. Honestly, I'd be going, yeehaw.
I always know when Ray's been on a Japanese whiskey, because when we might be watching West Ham on the telly, he's out there, I'm in here, and all that, and I want to cut the referee's head off and all that. And you've been on the whiskey, right?
And we're winning 4-0 and all. I can't believe it.
Oh dear.
That must have been the Europa League conference, though. Was that?
Yeah.
You're winning for.
You know what? I was supposed to go to the final.
Yeah.
And it all fell through. Something happened. I couldn't go anyway. I was here. I was sitting on top of the mountain. I've got a telly on top of the mountain, right? And so it's all in the dark. It's all wild animals about wild boar and all that. And it's me with a knife and a big bat and a television and a bottle of vodka watching the final on my own. Right?
Where's the knife come from?
The best night I've ever had in my life. Because I kind of like myself, you know? It was just me and me.
Yeah. The question, Ray, was where's the knife come from? What was that?
Where's it going should be the answer.
Oh.
Anyway, that's life.
Yeah.
No, I definitely think we all need to have one of those nights with a knife and a bottle of vodka.
It's only protection against wild dogs and things like that. That's all.
I'd rather a night with Ray rather than a knife and a bottle of vodka, to be fair.
No, listen, I'll get a wild fox up here. It comes and sits with me, a little wild fox, right? But you get wild boar come through and they're spiteful. They get a bit spiteful, and you get a couple of wild dogs. So you have to kind of look after. So I like the dogs, but you have to be careful with them because they hunt in packs. They're a bit like Newcastle fans, you know what I mean?
Why?
Yeah, we just invite West Ham fans on and just.
But you know what? Funny, right? I don't know if you'd surf the internet and have a little look. Do you know what? Years ago, right? Ray might remember this, and I never forget it. I used to go home and away watching West Ham years and years ago, right? And you'd go all over the gaff, and they'd get hammered every week, right? But you'd still go. One game I never went to was at St James's Park, where I don't know how it happened, but the Newcastle fans threw a wheelbarrow in the West Ham bit. Ray, I don't know if you ever remember that. They got it.
No, I don't remember that, but I remember this. I remember Wembley, West Ham beat West Germany and all that, right? But it was the cup final against Fulham, West Ham versus Fulham. And I'm standing behind the goal, right? And I've got three geezers standing next to me. They've got a plastic bag, right? Three Geordie boys who are West Ham supporters. You know, in Newcastle, there's a West Ham fan club, right?
Is there?
And I was standing with three Newcastle boys, and they had Newcastle brown ales. You know the ones with the star on. They went, "Do you want a beer?" I went, "Oh yeah, go on, all right." Boom. I ended up with the three Geordie boys. Got drunk as a sack. Missed the second goal. Yeah.
Oh, brown ale strong like.
It's like unbelievable.
Have you ever heard of a turbo shandy? Either you chaps.
What's that?
A turbo shandy. So it's a Newcastle brown ale, half a pint of Newcastle brown ale, and then half a pint of Smirnoff Ice.
Oh, Jesus.
Send it to the moon. You want to try one of them, boys?
No. I'd rather fight the geezers up there than the girls. The girls, Jesus. Right. Fantastic.
Oh dear. No.
Do you remember the boat years ago, Tuxedo Junction?
Yeah, that's it. That's
little Italian family up there owned the boat.
Yeah.
And we went on there one night. I had a fantastic night on there. But they also had a club. I forget what a club, Tuxedo something. But they used to have telephones on the table. So if you were sitting at a table, you could phone another table and send a drink across, and they'd come across and have a chat. It was fantastic. Because I was working up in what's the name of it? Bamborough Castle. Yeah. Up there, Alnwick, which is the most beautiful part of the world. Up there is stunning. Alnwick, Bamborough, all around there. Absolutely stunning. We used to come into Newcastle the weekend. Bum, bum, bum. It was fantastic, right? Loved every minute of it. It's East Coast. It's like us. You come down the East Coast, it's old England, you know? Yeah, claret and blue for them.
That's where it is. I've actually found the name. The name of the club is called Tuxedo Junction It was a
That's
nightclub in Newcastle's Market Street. It
Oh,
was
Martin.
founded
So what was
in
the
the
boat called?
1980s.
What was
Tuxedo Princess. So they were related.
That's it, yeah. And the dance floor used to spin.
Are you sure that wasn't just you, Ray? Are you sure that wasn't?
No. I mean,
Ray
I remember
stood
walking
like
across
this.
it one night and I ended up going back where I came from. I did a fantastic.
I'm actually quite worried now because my mum actually worked in Tuxedo Princess. So
No,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Dad.
When would that have been in the 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah, 80s.
83, 82?
Yeah.
Round about there, I think, yeah. So
Son.
let's get our knives and go watch the Hammers.
God bless you, man. God bless you. You're a hammer. I knew you was a hammer.
God. Gents, I'm going to bring the conversation back slightly.
Yep.
Yeah. Go on.
Around the work that you guys do within sort of your day job. And Gary, I know you mentioned before how you and Ray are now in business together. Personally, I think your job sounds super cool. We all love sport. The opportunity to help young people, young athletes, then to go and have a really successful professional career. Do you mind telling us about that and what sort of your work entails?
So
I'll let Gary do that because he's good at that.
So a while ago, when my boy first started playing, he was at West Ham, only a young 10, 11, whatever. And I took Ray with me over to watch him, and we used to go over there and see him and all that. But what I could see at the time and around there was all, the name agents, what agents had, it was a bad name. Everyone sort of said, oh, they're an agent, and the ways they get him to look after kids and all that sort of stuff. But as my boy progressed through and he went to different clubs and what have you, I sort of suggested and said to Ray, you know what, I fancy having a go at this, and it's not too dissimilar to what I do during the day, which is working city in the broking game, and I didn't think there was too much different from representing clients to representing athletes, right? So I sort of said, do you fancy having a go at this? But look, with the lookout of what happens if a player doesn't make it and doesn't get on, what happens next? I mean, my boy got released. He's been released 2 or 3 times, right? And the good thing for him is he's got a support mechanism around him, right? And but there's so many kids that don't have that, right?
I think the important thing, Gil, important thing you got to get to is that, if there's 40 kids, 39 get released.
Yeah.
What happens to these kids? They're all good enough to play football. They're all good enough to be there and playing for their dream. So what happens to them? They get a letter and they get told to fuck off, and they go back to either the estate or where they come from. Some of them middle class kids, and that they got a support mechanism. Some kids ain't, and they become back there, and their dream's over at 16, 17, 18 years of age. It's finished.
Yeah,
and you go, well, surely these clubs have got some sort of responsibility towards that. They've nurtured these kids from being 12, 13, 14 years of age. But no, they ain't. It's a dog-eat-dog world. To the extent where you're sacrificing young talent that's got a place to play football at some level. I'm not saying it's Premier League or Championship. It could be Southern League. But if they're playing the game they love playing, and believe me, that's the best way to start. If you love the job you do, then you end up doing it very well because you love it. And I think that was the thing that drew me in and drew Gary in. His boy was at Luton. I've got to tell you now, there's probably 40 kids playing for Luton, and probably 10 of them broke into the first team squad and were sitting on the bench and all that. Before the transfer window ended, just before, they released the whole youth squad. They had no chance of finding another club because the transfer window ended. That's a dog. That's dog. If you know you're going to do that at the beginning of the transfer window. These kids got a chance to go on. And I think that's the sort of thing that me and him looked at and went, we can do something here. We can place these kids somewhere. We can help them you know, where maybe some of them haven't got parents who are knowledgeable enough or care enough to do that. And instead of putting them back into society where they might cause havoc and harm to themselves, you've got to look at it and see how many kids commit suicide.
Yeah, 100%.
Fucking suicide. Kids are hanging themselves over not having their dream.
Yeah. And that's
am I correct?
No, listen, it's
you think you've got to be able to place these kids somewhere, and you can find. We've happened to find out, you know, universities in America will take kids on. We've got connections with the British Army through connections that I have, you know, with supporting the British Army in Afghanistan and all that kind of stuff. But you know, the injured soldiers that come home, we put them together so they can talk. You know, fellas who lost their arms and legs about how they're going to go on in their life. And it all matters. It all, you know, it matters to what these kids are going to do from the age of 16, 17, 18 years of age for the rest of their life. And I think that's why me and Gary, that's why we started doing what we're doing. And thank God Casey was doing what he'd done, because he put us on the track. You know?
That's right, and I think that's right. And listen, look, it's great, right? Because we're able to look after. We've got golfers. I think we're up to about 10 women footballers. We just put a decent player in with the Newcastle girls. Alicia Body, she is fantastic.
She's doing well.
Right, so she got promoted with Bristol, and she's chose to move down because she likes the look at a project that Newcastle build. And I actually think they're going to do really well. I think they'll come up and then they'll go up again.
Me too. That's flying.
It's a fantastic setup. I watched her the other week. At some point, I'll go down and watch them down there. But she loves it down there. So, but I guess the thing is, you know, again, just being there as a support mechanism for people, you know, and it's interesting. I mean, like, I see a comment just pop up there. You know, some chat just, you know, rightly put about no pressure for the employer to assist in future employment. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. That they haven't. Nobody has, because, you know, in my day job in the broking game, you know, if someone gets let go, you're not under any pressure. But I think with this, what we're trying to do, if we're in that industry, we want to see what we can do to help these out. You know, not just actually release people, but right, okay, well, what's your next move? If we can't, you know, and we've had it ourselves. They're probably not at the level to be. But look, we you know, can we integrate them into City Worlds, or can we integrate them, you know, into another form? So no, you know, the chat listening in makes a good point. But the reality is, what we thought was, if we're taking these elite athletes on and they don't quite make the grade, then we'd like to see. I know Crystal Palace. Listen, fair play to them. I think they've put it's either a 2 or 3 year scheme in, where if you get released, they'll look after you. They'll help you for the next couple of years, which I think
well done, Crystal Palace.
You know, and I think that's brilliant. So look, I think, you know, it's just people, and that's the biggest thing. You always get taught at academies. It's only going to be 1% of you go through. So just always, my lad chose to also take his coaching badges as well. Luckily enough, he's got through and he's a pro and what have you. He's not quite at the level he wants to be, but it is what it is. But he's also a UEFA B coach. So what we always try and say is, what else do you want to do? What else you know? What's your plan B? You know, I mean, we've had young football lads come in. I want to be a DJ in Dubai. Great, okay, fine. You can do that. So I think, listen, it's I think it's just giving. And look, for me, you know, we're trying to bring the youth through in what we've got. You know, because all the talent we've got is young and it's up and coming, right? Whether it be girls, boys, footballers, golfers, whatever. But you know, the same policy, the same ethos is there. If they're not going to quite make it at where they're doing, then what's the plan B? What can we help them at doing?
The plan B is very important, Gal. You're right, because me and you, in the business we're in, we can work until we're 90 years of age if we are physically and mentally and that, you know, right to do that. A footballer's life, even if he cracks it, is probably 35 years of age, and if he's lucky and he's fit, we'll go up to 38 and get a living, you know, whatever level, you know. But then what do they do after? You know, and people say, well, who gives a fuck, you know? But there's kids who are not at Premier League level, that are at Championship level or League One, who need to find something else to do after. And I think in the position me and my friend are in, we're trying to do something about it, and be able to manoeuvre that and educate them in that way, and give them the confidence to go on, whether it's media, whether it's something they choose to do. It can be fucking building work, but you got to know where you want to go. You got to be guided in a way. When you're young, you need to have a little bit of guidance and someone who can actually sit down and talk to you. Doesn't always happen in life.
I mean, Ray, you've mentioned there, footballers can last upwards to 38. Some goalkeepers make it to 40, and just so happens I'm a goalkeeper, and my nickname's Lenore because I only deal in clean sheets. But I just want to know if you and Gary wanted to maybe find me a club. I'm only 30.
Well, listen. Hold on. Have you got any videos of yourself? And I
don't want videos from him.
What kind of videos?
They're not the kind of videos you want.
With your clothes on, please. With your clothes on.
I haven't got any of them. Ray. Just clothes off or no cigar.
Proper Viking.
Yeah,
that's what you want. That's what you want. But yeah. 30-year-old goalkeeper. I'm 24 stone, 6'2". If you can find us a club, let us know.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be tearing down with you as a centre forward. Then, God, he's smacking the pieces.
Exactly. Don't worry, boys. Don't worry. But yeah.
Having said that, I really like your goalkeeper at Newcastle.
Oh, Nick Pope's quality.
I would honestly, I do like. I mean, I actually think Pickford at Everton is a fantastic goalkeeper, and I think he's just in front of him. But your boy, he's a top keeper. He really is a top keeper, the kid.
I'll have to disagree with you on Pickford.
Well, I like Pickford. Yeah, I like Pickford. I think he's a terrific goalkeeper. I really do. But your boy at Newcastle,
he's a Mackham though to us, isn't he?
Yeah,
remember he's from Sunderland.
He's a Sunderland boy.
He is. He's a Sunderland lad.
Oh,
yeah. So he doesn't get any vote of confidence from us.
Really?
He could be the best keeper in the world. Just from Sunderland, isn't he? So.
Stop it. He's East Coast. He's on you. He's one of your boys. Don't worry about that.
Do you know what,
has it turned cold up in Newcastle at the minute yet, or is it still warm?
Oh no, it's cold.
It's actually all right today. It was 15 degrees at like 5 o'clock, so that's all
Listen.
They'll
have a little skinny vest on, a little skirt. And that's just the girls, right?
Yeah.
The girls.
That's Ethan.
That's me.
That's Ethan.
Do you know what? Do you know the funny part? My boy was on the beach for Luton against Middlesbrough last year, and he went up there. He said it's the coldest place he ever been. He never got a kick. He never got on, and the only bonus for him was shaking Michael Carrick's hand because he loved Michael Carrick at West Ham. But
You want to ride an horse, girl? You want to ride an horse in your underpants along the beach at Bamburgh Castle, right? I'll show you cold, right?
Just make sure you have one of them.
Talk about press the button. You're about to press the button. I'm telling you.
I love it.
There's a little hotel up by there called the Lord Crew Arms. It's just along with Bamburgh Castle. Fantastic place. We stayed there for about 4 weeks in 1982. Fantastic place. Beautiful.
Did they sell vodka orange by any chance?
Oh, don't worry about that. I was all right.
Yeah. Do you know both of the work that you're currently doing? So there's normally a comment that gets thrown when I'm on a podcast by Ethan, and he's probably smiling because he knows what's going to be said. But I went through some of the journey that you guys described. I'm being honest. Like, I find it really challenging for young lads because there's so much pressure now, especially in society. You become a footballer, you're rich, you can do what you want, like you're celebrity, you can pull girls or whatever that is. That ideology of like you can do what you want because you're a footballer.
No, you can't. You can't pull girls no more. You can't stand in the pub and talk to a girl no more like we did when we were kids. You can't do that. It's not PC. It's if you make a suggestion to anyone, you're arrested, and it's totally How does someone meet anyone anymore? I
It's
don't
the
know.
dating apps, Ray. The dating apps. These all these.
Oh,
all this
fuck
dating
me.
apps.
God, it used to be an eyes across the room. Oh, the music would play, and then you'd have a
In the
dance.
disco, do you want to
And you
dance?
go, where'd you live?
On that
Yeah.
spinning disco, was it, right?
Not in the spinning disco. It's the do you fancy a dance and all that.
God,
game.
I'm glad I'm married. I've got 3 kids and I've got grandchildren, right?
4 kids.
Today to be young.
4 kids.
Yeah,
Right, you got 4.
sorry. Excuse me, right? But how on earth does anyone meet anyone today?
No.
How do they do it? Jesus Christ.
It's a nightmare. But to answer your question, Lewis, what you're saying is that when kids get the trappings and you're going to be and then all of a sudden you drop away from it, right? I mean that's the big conundrum for a lot of them.
Yes.
You get it taken away from you.
Sorry, Gal. Sorry, the vodka's kicking in. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Oh dear.
I think actually that's
I've just
a really
pressed
good
the button.
Yeah.
No, I think that is a good point by reaction, and it's a topic I didn't think we were going to talk about, but we'll go there. How is a man supposed to chat up a woman now?
Why don't ask Vindy after
I'm
Saturday?
terrified. I'm terrified to say hello to anyone. Hello. Well, I'm arrested. I said, whoa. I said hello. Jesus Christ. You had a funny look in your eye. Jesus Christ. I didn't say hello. You know?
Yeah, it's not.
God.
I wouldn't know where to start.
I just don't get the
Gal,
apps
to be
and
fair,
stuff.
you never did.
Yeah, no, that's right. I'm absolutely open.
I think Lewis is actually asking for advice because he's newly single. So, like, he's actually asking, how do you pull a girl?
Tell him,
I've
tell
got
him,
no idea.
tell Lewis not to ask me because he'll end up getting arrested. He'll be banged up in Newcastle all night.
I think you could get one with a knife in the butt, maybe.
Yeah.
No. You don't want no knife crime. No.
Yeah.
Dino.
Wild dogs and wild
Christ.
boar.
That's right.
Dean, you're a PR nightmare, you, Dino.
Jesus
Back
God.
on mute for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah.
And
I forgot you were on it. Yeah, I forgot you were on
You
it.
can't have a tear up anymore, can you? You can't have fisticuffs anymore.
No.
You know when men used to have a tear up and it was all right, shake hands up and all that. Can't do that no more. Jesus Christ.
No,
It was never.
In Italy, it's all right. It's fine. You can still do that.
Playing Milan tomorrow, aren't we? Last train Italy tonight.
What's that? I didn't hear that.
We're playing Milan tomorrow. Newcastle, Milan.
Yeah.
Is that on the telly, boys?
Yeah.
It'll be
I'll
on.
have that tomorrow night. I'll watch that tomorrow night. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Are you playing internationally or AC?
AC.
Yeah.
Oh, AC got done 5-2 the weekend, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, I think we'll do all right on there.
Is it at Newcastle or in Milan?
It's in Milan.
Oh, listen, you're done.
I hope so.
Just attack them. Tora. Give it. That's Japanese, by the way. I love a bit of Japanese now.
Lead Japanese.
Yeah.
Yep. 2-0 Wilson, you heard it here first.
Reese, it looks like you have a question.
Yeah, can I just go back to obviously what we're saying about academies and stuff like that?
Yep.
So my son, he's 5 at the moment, and he's playing for Newcastle Academy, and I guess that's my biggest worry, all the stuff that he's got to go through.
Yeah.
Like dealing with, not
Face
getting
fit.
off her back.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. That's my biggest worry, having to tell him that, oh, by the way, you're not going there anymore.
It's interesting, right?
I don't think you can tell him. I
you
think you've got to just let him find his way, you know.
And I think the biggest thing with the kids that age, I've got a little, and he's just turned 6, and he's sort of just gone into that sort of environment, right? And honestly, you just got to let him play, because what he looks like at 5 to what he looks like at 11 to what he looks like at 16, totally different, you know. And you'll see people come and go. And the biggest thing for me is, I think parents, the biggest thing I see is parents put too much pressure on the kids. You know, it's you missed that, shoot, and it's horrible, really. It's horrible.
Salute, Gal.
Yeah,
well done, Gal.
Pressure,
well said.
The pressure they put on their kids, when really you're just there to enjoy yourself. And so it's funny, because if they're good enough, they're old enough, right? And so they be picked up My lad who's pro now, he got picked up at 10, you know, and my little one's 6. And he's, but if they play their club football or they play their school football, they're going to be picked up if they're good enough. And so the biggest thing for me is once you're in that academy cycle, it is, it is like battery ends. It's like, you're constant on the wheel. You've got to get better. You've got to get better. And every age, you've got to be better. You've got to be, we'd have brought this lad in and I don't know, we're not going to keep that much of the group and all that. And then you get to 10 and then you get to 12. And it is really hard to keep on that conveyor belt. You're going to get the odd one who's actually, I saw a boy last week, a couple of weeks ago, he's 7. He was mustard, absolutely mustard and all that. But what is he going to be like at 14? You don't know 7 years' time. You just want the kids to enjoy themselves. But I think majority of the problems are the parents. They get wrapped up, they see, and it's funny, right? I'm just studying. I've got to take an agent's exam in Birmingham on Wednesday, right? And I ain't taken exams for years, but you look at some of the questions there, and it talks about the good of the child, the good of the parents, and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's the biggest thing for your boy. Listen, it's a buzz when you say, he's at Newcastle, or he's at Middlesbrough, he's at Sunderland, he's wherever he is. But ultimately, you've got to fast forward at the moment 10 years. You got to look, where's he going to be at 15, 16 when he gets
definitely, I agree.
Scholarship and they're on.
I think you got to let your boy play football and enjoy it. But at the same time, what happens with what I've seen at these clubs, and I've seen it back in the day at Tottenham when my mate Danny Clapton, who was Les Clapton, it's an old name in football, was there when Souness was there. They came through together. He was a class player, but his dad knew a lot about football, and it went against him because they like to be in control. And if you make yourself too busy,
you're out of the game.
They won't like that. So if you want your boy to go on, when you talk to him, you talk to him at home, not there.
Yeah.
You let them do what they're going to do. Yeah. Don't be seen. Be invisible.
Yeah, and that's a big tip.
I it's all I can say. When I said to Gary, because his boy is a player. He's a player. I see him at West Ham. And listen, we're fans, right? We ain't managers. We're not people within football, but we know a player when we see a player, like a Brooking or a Devonshire, or a Shearer. We know a player. You ain't got to say nothing. And you go, why didn't that player make it? You know why? Because his dad had too much to say. And they can't control that. They are a business. You got to admit, you're dealing with a business.
True.
This ain't sport no more.
That's the thing.
It's got fuck all to do with sport. This is a multi-million-dollar fucking business. And the kids come last.
Yeah, they do.
And if you want them to be a footballer, then leave them alone. Let them do what they got to do with them. And if he cracks it, fantastic. And what you've got to say to your boy, you say it at home.
That's right. Absolutely.
Be invisible, and that's what I've seen.
And that's right.
Be totally wrong what I'm saying to you now, but that's just my opinion.
No, I think that's completely right. And Rico, if I could give any advice, is not like if he's in an academy, great. But I enjoyed football way more out of an academy than in an academy. Like you turn up to play football every day under so much pressure, and it took the fun away from playing football. And I actually didn't play football for a good few years after because I fell out of love of football because of it. So I think there's a benefit to getting in and getting elite coaching, elite training, but I think it's how you manage his relationship with a club and make sure that he feels like he's playing under no pressure, and that even if he doesn't play well, he can go back the next time and he can do even better, and he just got to keep practicing and enjoying it. Like, because I lost the love of it because I wasn't enjoying it anymore.
Great point.
Yeah, great advice.
I think that's definitely it. So at the minute he's only 5, so he is just enjoying it all the time. He's going on. He's playing for his club, Wolves End. Playing for
at 5, he should be going out with girls.
Yeah.
He tells us he has plenty of them at school.
Listen,
tell him to get on the internet. Tell him to get on the internet.
listen. You know that's where Carrick and all them come from at Wall's End, right?
Yeah.
They was all at Wall's End. They was all at Wall's End. So listen, if he's there, but honestly, 5, my boy's just turned 6, you know, and I just want him to enjoy it, you know, and that's and as I say, for him to be, and listen, by the way, and I can tell you now, Newcastle are really investing in youth, really investing in the best talent up and down the country. They really are going for it, and it's the right way to be. I think Eddie Howe's been an inspired signing. I really do. And you know, he
needs time, doesn't he, Gil?
And as I say, I can tell you for a fact they're buying up all the really good talent up and down the country. You know, sort of 14 up. You know, and so that's they will have a phenomenal setup in a few years' time.
If they stick with him, and they should stick with him, you know.
Yeah, I think that's the fear. I think that's the fear with us, where we try and go too big too quick, or maybe we try and just get the superstars. Like, if you look at everyone looks at the Brighton model, like that's the dream, isn't it? It's buying cheap, selling them at a high price, developing players well.
Brighton got it right.
That Ferguson looked unbelievable for them.
You know, the worst thing that's happened to you, actually, to Newcastle, I think, is what's happening in the Arabian States. Yeah. You know, all of a sudden they've come into play, and they're nicking all the top players. I think if that hadn't have happened, Newcastle would have nicked a couple of really good top players, right? And a little strong. It came at the wrong time. You know?
But Ray, I think they're going to try and grow their own. That's what I see.
I think they will now.
They will now.
In the long run, it'll be a better thing, Gal. It'll be a better thing. Yeah. But in the near future, now, it might have been easier for them just to nick a couple of players, get them through this year, and then bring the kids on.
No, I agree.
Right, do we agree now?
We all agree. We put the
we agree on that.
Right. What else we got? What else have we got? We got anything else to cover?
Well, I just want to quickly say something there.
I've got to tell you, it's the longest podcast I've ever done in my life.
just the meeting's running. Yeah, go on.
I've got to pour myself out another drink in a minute.
So Reese was saying before there about his son, obviously, and I know, obviously, Gary, you've mentioned your son going through the ranks. We've mentioned Crystal Palace already, but they actually did a show, I don't know if any of you have seen it, called Football Dreams, the Academy, on Channel 4.
Yes.
And that followed different age groups, and you know, at the end of the year, they either got kept or released. And some of the kids are so, like, 11-year-old, and they're having to deal with being released or kept
rejected.
On. And that show, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend it to anyone listening, watching.
I mean, listen, I've been with my boy, and I've sat in the meetings when he's been, you know, listen, Case, you've done really well, but there's nothing here for you, and all that sort of stuff. You know, I mean, he was a captain at most ages at Millwall for 4 years, and there was nothing for him at the end of that, you know, and then he's got to go away and rebuild himself and get to the next place, and all that sort of stuff. And honestly, you don't realise that what the rejection takes out of you. You don't realise it, because it's like, I've got to go again, or then you've got to go to, right, so you've been in an academy setup, you've been playing for an academy side, and then suddenly you've got to go on trial at another place, and then you go in with a group of players who really, they're okay, they'll pay your lip for this, hello, how you doing, and all that, but you're not part of them until you get picked up and brought into the group. No, so, you know, you'll be there, and no, it won't be for us and all that. Honestly, the resilience you've got to show, and it goes back to one of Ray's points. You know, I've seen it for the last 11 years at academy level, right? And I've watched kids drop away, and some bounce back. Some have got parents. You know, I mean, this kid's getting 3 buses. Right, and I'll never forget, I've seen one boy released, and he probably was hard done by to be released, but anyway, he was released. He got 3 buses to get to the release meeting. They gave him 5 minutes after being there 4 years, released him. The kid's got to walk out on his own, no one to talk to, get back on 3 buses and get back to his house. fuck that, you know.
Yeah,
and
that's bullshit,
what
that,
we
like.
deal with, and it's horrible. And again, that's when we talk about a business and we talk about what you can do and what you can't do. And, you know, people don't necessarily have the support mechanisms. So when you make the point about the Crystal Palace scene, it, you know, it is absolutely what goes on now. I think the academies do. They listen. It's very harsh to say they don't do anything. Because they do. They work, and I've got good friends working at academies and running academies. But the reality of this, there is a, you know, there is. It's just the nature of the beast of what happens, and it is brutal. I mean, I've seen kids come out crying and all that. You know, but
it's a lot to be said for the strong survive. You know, you're building a player that you want who's got a strength within to succeed. And I get that, you know, I get that. But there's ways of doing that. There's other ways of doing that. You know, that you've got to have something in you as a coach or a man who's running a team. Well, if you've been with a kid for 4 years, to have some morality about him, you know. So, and there doesn't seem to be that. And, you know,
just a business, Ray. That's the problem, right?
You know,
but they're assets, aren't they? They're assets that can grow.
Who says you're good enough and you ain't good enough?
Yeah, no,
if you played for 4 years at a club at that level, you're a good player. You ain't going to be there if you ain't a good player.
No, that's right.
There is going to be somewhere in football for you. Just all I'm saying is, we'll help that kid go on to a level he's going to be all right to play.
Yeah, and that's right.
You know, don't be brutal. Fucking, you know, make a man of you. Fucking stand on the cobbles and be a man if you want to be a man. You know?
That's right. That's spot on.
I think that's a good thing Palace do in that documentary as well. They actually help the.
Well, that's what I said earlier on, right? They put the program in a couple of years ago or a year or so ago, where any released players get looked after for a year, 2 years, whatever it is. And they were really the flag bearers of that, right?
Who was in charge then? Was it Roy Hodgson or was it OVS?
No, I don't think. No, they put it in as a club. I don't think it was when Hodgson. I think Hodgson had left. But listen, fair credit to them. Fair credit to them. I mean, they've spent a right few quid on their academy. I mean, it's beautiful.
Good boys. Okay, good.
I know it's beautiful down there, and they've got a real good catchment area down at Palace there. But
do you know what? It puts on a good vibe through the club as well. You know.
Yeah,
it's got to be good for the club. You know.
No, that's right. And again, it's something. It's something that it costs a lot, but at the end of the day, you're going to get borne out. And as I say, you know, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to do, but you know, it's something that we look at and we like. You know, I like the look of certainly.
Yeah, no, definitely. We've got a last sort of section because we're at the point where we've probably taken so much of your time and a very great
not much. Monday night. Jesus.
Not much. To be fair, it's nearly a full 90-minute film, isn't it? We'll be giving you film reviews at the end, Ray. Don't worry.
But it should go on Netflix.
It should.
Well, I mean, we're happy for it to go on Netflix. Ethan, this is your part of the pod. Obviously, you make it up every week, so
yeah.
Well, you don't do no homework or nothing like that.
Yeah. Oh no,
I never do homework. Okay. I never do homework, Dad. Don't worry.
Okay, baby.
See no princess. I will never forget that.
I'm gonna have serious questions for my mom tonight when I get home.
Yeah. What were you doing in 1983?
Yeah, but I've done my washing as well.
It might have been 82. I don't know.
1 or 2. Anyway, guys,
what you got for us, Ethan? What's your handwriting?
Yeah, my handwriting's awful, to be fair. But
are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed. What about you, Ray?
Fuck. Oh, God.
So, what we like to do, chaps, is we like to end on something called "Hear no evil, see no evil," or "See no evil, hear no evil."
Whichever way.
Whatever way he decides to say it each week.
Pretty much. So basically, obviously, it's based on the film Gene Wilder back in the day. But what we like to do is we like to ask our guests about either a book or a podcast which you've listened to or read that's got you through a particularly tough time in your life, or even something that you would recommend to someone. Obviously, Gary and Ray, we can ask you both. I mean, I don't know if you've got the same book in mind. But Gary, you can set us off.
No, it's his bank book that gets me through it.
No,
Mine too.
Is there? God, you put me on the spot there. Really, what would I do? I can't think of one that's. I mean, I'm not a great reader anyway. I'm not. I don't read loads of books and everything like that. And to be honest with you, I don't listen to load of podcasts. I mean, I'm going to struggle with this because I don't think there's something. I mean,
what about a song or a film? Song or a film?
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of my all-time greats. I've watched it about 100 times, right? And I've actually read this book. Why I've done that? Where Eagles Dare. You probably ain't even heard of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's the greatest war film ever. It's a load of old shit.
Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's right. So
I will watch it.
Yeah, no, but I like all them for The Great Escape. You know, I mean, you know, I've seen it all. I can name loads of different bits out of that. Guns and Navarone. I'm a big one for all of that. So, I mean, if you had to put me on the spot there, I mean, listen, it doesn't. Nothing of that helps me out. I just love old war films.
I have to watch it.
Yeah.
Have you got it on order?
Yeah. Guns and Navarone, Where Eagles Dare, Great Escape, all of those things. They're all good ones for me. I love them.
Top man, Gary will get them added. We'll get them added. Our pal Dino tends to buy every book that someone recommends and then just doesn't listen to it or read it. Or
You've just saved me some money, to be fair, Gary, because now I don't have to buy a book.
No, you don't. No. No, you got them all in the films, but no, I'm not a big book reader, but yeah.
So it's
Ray, what you got?
Yeah, Ray.
Well, after that boring fucking drivel, I just go from you.
One of your films, am I? Let's be honest.
No, I know. That was diabolical. I'm very disappointed. But the book, I don't read a lot of books, but the one book I did read, and I loved it because I loved the film, was The Searchers. And the film was John Wayne, and it's about a man who's actually a bigot, you know, against the Indians and all that. And it's a great performance from John Wayne, who's never looked at as a great actor. But the book to read is very short chapters. And when you read it, it gives you the smell of the prairie and what it's all about. The imagination you get from reading the book is quality. And it is a quality book to read. And you can just, when you go to bed at night, you just read a chapter in 20 minutes, put the book down, pick it up tomorrow. You know, it's just something you do. Fantastic. My favourite song, and I've got many favourite songs, but I'll go back to Charlie Chaplin, who wrote Smile. A song called Smile. And Charles Chaplin wrote it. And it's probably one of the most beautiful songs you'll ever hear in your life when it's sung properly. I sing it on occasions when I've had a few drinks.
Well, you've had a few drinks today, haven't you? You've had a few today, how are they?
And usually it's the end of the night when I want everyone to go home. But
isn't it the end of the podcast?
It's a marvellous song. It really is. Podcasts, the only one I listen to, a podcast, I will listen to your boys from now on, obviously.
Yeah.
But I listened to my daughter's one, which was, and I had to stop after a while because she was talking about wild night parties and things that she's done with friends of hers, and I thought, I can't fucking listen to this no more because I want to kill people. So I stopped listening to that. So that was the podcast. So yeah, that's basically it with me. I guarantee you, read that, The Searchers. I mean, the film was incredible film. Usually films ain't as good as the books, they say. But the book is wonderful. Yeah. It's wonderful. Yeah.
I mean, Ray, there's some quality answers there. I'm quite worried though, because I was named after John Wayne's character in The Searchers. He's called Ethan.
Yeah.
Oh!
But he had a redeeming factor at the end. He picks her up.
Yeah.
So you're all right. You got away with it.
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Now I know where the name came from.
Like. You know,
so
it all ends up lovely in the end. But John Wayne was fantastic.
Yeah. It all together. So you're named after it. You've been at the
My God, Nathan.
Ethan will be going to Princess tonight.
Maybe that's
like,
why I named you. I don't know.
That's probably why you named us, yeah. You and me, mum. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Honestly, gents, it has been a real pleasure, and thank you so much for coming onto our podcast. We are
God bless
honestly
you,
so
boys.
grateful.
You
Really
do a good
appreciate
job,
it.
boys. You do
Listen,
a
what
good
you
job.
do is fantastic. Keep up the good work.
Cheers.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
And I'll have to listen out to your next one when you whenever it is. And
We have a footballer on next week, actually. To be fair,
who you got?
Oh,
Can't say.
I can't say yet. Can't say
Right.
yet.
can we sign him? We're signing him. We don't want.
I think
Tell
he
you
is a
off
free
air.
agent.
We'll tell you off air.
I think he is a free agent, actually.
Oh, it's the geezer who wants to play with West Ham again, girl.
Yeah. Well, listen. Look, we'll look at and listen as you know, and I'll just say what Ray just said there. You know, the reason I came on because you know I want to get the message out. Ray gets the message out, and again, it's I'm really pleased for young guys to be doing something like this. I think is a real credit. You know, and again, we've managed to have a bit of a laugh about some other topics and all that sort of carry on. But listen, for young guys like you to have the wherewithal to do something like this, I think is fantastic, and that's why you know me and Ray have come on to support you. And again, I'll be listening out to some of your others, and I might throw the odd question into you next time wherever you are.
Love it, mate.
Listen, boys, thank you ever so much. Thanks for having us.
Anytime, boys. Anytime.
And we'll
Love
see
it,
you,
gents.
and we'll see you
gents.
soon. All right.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Love you, Dan.
Time to grind, get inside your mind. Yeah, we working overtime. That's the only way to climb. We gon' make it in our prime. Signing on the dotted line, cashing checks left and right. That's the way I'm living life. Let's go. Time to grind, get inside your mind. Yeah, we working overtime. That's the only way to climb. We gon' make it in our prime. Signing on the dotted line, cashing checks left and right. That's the way I'm living life.